Okay. At the start of your business journey or on it, it can be a really lonely path. One where you are the everything in the business. You are putting out the trash. You are making the coffee. You're the marketing manager, the sales manager, the CEO. And it can feel really overwhelming at times. You're searching for all the answers, which can be really tiresome and take you down a whole rabbit hole of something else that you didn't know you needed or didn't know you needed to do. This is why I've created conversations with my go-to experts, bite-sized training and learnings for light bulb moments. And if we've not met before, my name is Lindsay Burden and I'm an intuitive business coach, and I inspire, motivate and guide ambitious women in business to create wildly successful businesses and a time-rich lifestyle. But enough about me. I am so excited today to bring you the fabulous Lou Fletcher, who I have known for years and years and years. And we're going slightly off piece and slightly different today. So it'll be interesting to see where we land. Now, I always ask my guests, I ask them for a couple of things. One, I ask them for a title or a potential title for our chat. And I also asked them for an introduction. This is the best introduction, Lou, I have ever had. So I'm going to read it as I always do. Are you ready? Please meet Lou. She's currently waiting for the birth of her first grandchild and struggling to get to grips with being old enough to be a grandparent. How very exciting, Lou. Now then, Lou, that's not enough really, is it? To tell people about what you do. And we've got Piccolo behind you there. So tell us about Piccolo and what you do when you're not waiting for a grandchild to arrive.
I'm not waiting. The child is born. I am officially a grandmother, which is very scary. Anyway, yes, so Piccolo is sales and lettings. Initially, we just did lettings and property management, and we branched into sales about 2 years ago. And sales at the moment is completely ballistic, and lettings has gone surprisingly quiet.
So depending on when you're watching this, we're in the middle of a bit of a crisis, let's just say. And let's hope if somebody watches it in 12 months' time, 24 months' time, 36 months' time, it is a better place to be than we presently feel.
Absolutely.
But Lou, how long have you been in business?
With Piccolo is 13 years old.
Wow.
Nearly 14 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. That time seems to have gone so quickly.
And you've been with me for a very large part of that, I feel.
Now then, there's a couple of things we need to mention. First of all, if anyone can see over the shoulder of Lou, apparently there is a bottle of tequila and it's Tequila Friday. Just in case anyone is wondering. But
it's a great motivator on a Monday to know that Tequila Friday is only 5 days away.
To celebrate good weeks and challenging weeks.
Absolutely, yes.
Now, one of the things I always ask my guests to do is to give me a title for our conversation. And again, you threw me completely and sent me into peals of laughter, because the title of the event that you have suggested is Start Your Day with Yoga. And I remember working with you many, many years ago when it was on your wish list to be able to do yoga. And now you are.
Now I am. And I do try and start every day with yoga. It is incredible what a difference it makes. Just half an hour on the mat, first thing in the morning, before anything else, absolutely sets me up for the day. And I've noticed a real difference on those days where I don't do it. In fact, I haven't done it all week. I might have to have 2 shots of tequila today just to make up for the lack of yoga. Yeah, it's really, really interesting. I was very cynical about yoga years ago. I thought it was, not me, but actually it's just my go-to practice. I absolutely love it.
It's really interesting, Lou, because I talk to my clients about having a really good morning routine that sets you up for an incredible day. And yoga is your morning routine and makes all the difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I alternate sometimes between dog walking and yoga, but my preference is yoga, especially in winter, I have to say, when dog walking is less appealing, going out in the cold, the dark, and the pouring rain.
And I also happen to know that the dog sometimes does join in with your yoga practice, because I've seen the evidence, which is
Great down dog, yeah.
Now then, what is it we need to talk about business? Now, you gave me 3 shares or key points, and I think for me, this particular interview is really giving people an insight into some of the things that they can do to make business a little bit easier. And coming from a point of 13, 14 years in business, it's incredible the shares that you can give us. But one of the first things you wrote down when you filled out the form was trust your instincts. Where does that come from? And where do you think you didn't trust your instincts?
Ooh, good question. I suppose for us, this is primarily a people business. We are dealing with people and their homes. So making judgments about people is absolutely key. And I've found on occasions where I haven't gone with my instincts and the wrong person has been selected for whatever. And so I suppose I learned about 10 years ago, we have instincts for a reason, use them. And sometimes you can't actually put your finger on why it is you're getting that feeling. You just don't know, because everything on paper looks perfect, but there's something that's telling you instinctively it's not quite right. And so I've now learned to absolutely trust, whether it's choosing the right tenant for a property or the right contractor for a job, anything. We have instincts for a very good reason, and I think it's really important to follow them. And even if you're not right, even if your instinct is not right, at least explore why you're having that feeling, and just make sure that you've dotted every I, crossed every T, and that you are absolutely making the right decision about the person, whatever that person is, whatever that role that person is playing.
And that instincts, for different people, it can be that feeling in your tummy, can't it? Or you get, for me, I get a pain in my thumb. It's
weird.
I know, when I get a pain in my thumb about something, I get really excited because I know I have to do it. But it can be a feeling in the body. It can be that indecisiveness even, where you're not quite sure. And I always think, go with your first thought, go with your first feeling. You knew all along. And that really does apply in so many ways in our businesses, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And don't judge by appearances. I have been, I don't get surprised anymore, because, appearances can be absolutely deceptive. And people are fascinating, and you just have to scratch the surface sometimes and find that what you thought from that first appearance is absolutely not the case, which makes my job particularly really good fun, because of course we meet the most fascinating people day in, day out. But don't judge them by their appearances, except for holes in socks. I have to say, I do judge. If people are viewing a house and they come with holes in their socks, I'm sorry, not good.
Top tip: if somebody's got a hole in the sock, you probably don't want to date them, you don't want to rent them a house, and you don't want to do business with them. I like that. That's a top tip I didn't know I was going to get today. Do you think there's anywhere in the business as a whole, people aside, where you think, I really wish I'd done that, that was the right thing, or why did I do that? I knew that wasn't the right thing to do? Because I think learning to trust our intuition takes time.
Yeah. I once went into a sort of partnership arrangement with another local company, and that didn't work out. And again, I didn't follow my instincts. Common sense and instinct told me it was not going to be a partnership that was going to be successful. And it wasn't. And it was nothing catastrophic. It just fizzled away. But actually, financially, it was a waste. And time-wise, it was a waste. So I shouldn't have gone with that. Sometimes I find I take a very, very long time to come to a decision. And again, I've stopped worrying about that, because if it's the right decision and you instinctively know it's the right decision, you'll make it quickly. Sometimes things are a slow burn, and there's nothing wrong with that. Better to wait a long time and make the right decision than to make the wrong decision earlier on.
Yeah, that's so true.
Oh,
But and
I
as I
don't-
say, I think learning to trust your intuition takes a little bit of time. Interestingly, well, not interesting, I'm interested to know that partnership, was that earlier on in your business journey?
That was, when was that? That was about 3 years in, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I thought it would help launch me into a sort of bigger playing field. Um, but it was not a good marriage. Shall we just put it that way? Not a good. I think it's very important to have your values to be closely aligned. If you're going to any sort of business relationship with anyone, values are so important. So yeah, that was
I
never.
asked that question because I think sometimes when people are at the beginning of their journey, their business journey, their entrepreneur journey, they attach themselves to opportunities, to people, because they don't trust themselves, because they, not because we think it's going to be necessarily a quicker journey, but we still think, well, we're not quite good enough, we're not worthy, we're not this, we're not that, and they're better than us.
Yeah,
And it
bit of
can take,
imposter syndrome.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I know I did it in my business and spent a huge amount of time on putting together a potential partnership, which didn't pan out.
Yeah.
Financially, it didn't cost me anything, but actually, you know, the amount of time and energy you give something, and then when you look back, you go, actually, I could have been given that time and energy to something else. But
Yeah, that's very true. And of course, when you're on your own, as we all are to start with, it's so easy to sort of judge ourselves very harshly. And as you say, feel we
yeah,
haven't got, not doing a good enough job, and be very self-critical. And especially if you haven't got a team around you or people around you who you can trust, who say, "Hey, you're doing a fantastic job. You don't need to go into that relationship. Just go it alone." Yeah, but you don't have that to start with. So, and you have to trust your instincts.
do you have interest? And this is just a random question that's going to mind. Do you think that imposter syndrome, that not feeling worthy or good enough and feeling that you need somebody else to validate you, do you think that is more prevalent for women than men?
Oh gosh. Do you know, I honestly don't know.
Mm.
I would suspect not. I would suspect that women are far more self-analytical and self-critical than men. I think men tend to be just naturally a little bit more self-confident in their skills and abilities, rightly or wrongly. I mean, for me, the way I've joined a couple of local business networking groups, and for me, that's been great. And actually, a lot of them, the other members are men, and it's a great way of sharing all your sort of growth concerns, growing pains, and knowing that you're not alone, and that actually everyone in business is pretty much going through the same things. We all have peaks and troughs. We all have good days and bad days. But when you're on your own, it's really hard to keep things in perspective.
There's two things there for me. One, I'm a massive advocate of networking. So if you want to grow your business, if you want to find support, if you want to find your tribe of people who will be there for you, networking is the place to be. So I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I think that's really, really key for people to know. And that finding your people to support you while you're going it alone is absolutely essential, isn't it, to our business growth?
That's where we met, isn't it? At business
It
networking.
is.
All
Those years ago. In my head, I'm trying to do a bit of a calculation and try and work that out, but I don't think I can, and I don't think I will.
It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. Okay, so the next thing you wrote down, invest in your business so you have the skills you need. Where was that coming from when you wrote that?
So it is very, very easy. As your business grows, gains momentum, snowballs, as you hope it will, you stop doing the things that actually you should to ensure the continued growth of your company. And there comes a point where you're just working on your business all the time, and you never sort of step aside and take an overview of your business and look where it's going and look at where your skill shortages are. And that is fine up to a point, and I'm sure it very much depends on what the nature of your business is. But there comes a point where there are only so many hours in the day. There is only so much you can achieve. So whether it's you're learning time-saving skills or learning new technologies that you can adopt, whatever it is, you need to, every so often, probably once a month, take some time out, analyze your business, where your skills are, where your skill shortages are, where there are flaws in the business, where things could be more streamlined, more efficient, and learn from that, and then get trained, learn what it is you don't know how to do. And that should be, you should be doing that all the time as a business owner. Otherwise, you just become stuck in a rut, really, and you'll never grow to your full capacity.
I think that is, though, one of the biggest challenges, particularly for those at the beginning of their journey, investing in their business. And it can be a really scary place to be, because often I think it, particularly if there's money involved, I mean, it's one thing learning something and using your time, and there are lots of ways of learning that won't cost you anything. I mean, there's YouTube, for example, there's lots you can learn there. But that moment where you know that you need to invest, but you also know that that is going to hit your bottom line, or it could impact your ability to pay yourself, that's a really tough place to be, isn't it? If you had to give somebody some advice, what would that be?
Yeah, so it's funny you say that. You're right. If it's just learning, that's one thing, but if you're paying significant amounts for that learning, that's very, very scary, especially when, you know, funds are short. So many years ago, I was had a networking one-to-one with somebody, and her top tip to me was find a specialist mentor for your industry and invest in yourself. So I thought about, dwelled on this for 6 months and did it. And in fact, I did it not last year, the year before. It was very, very expensive. It was a year-long program, but it was insanely brilliant. And I have long since re-earned the money that I paid out for the 1 year of mentoring. And that's probably one of the best pieces of advice I've ever been given in business. So there are lots of amazing coaches around, but if you're in a very specific industry, find a coach specific for your industry. And not only will you learn some amazing skills, but you find your tribe as well.
Yeah.
And I've made friends now all over the country who are estate agents and letting agents, who I can always call on, and we're a real support group for each other, all going through exactly the same pains. But it's great. I have my tribe.
You have your tribe. Yeah, it's so true, isn't it? When we invest and we trust ourselves to invest in our businesses, it does have an impact. And you do see that return. I know for my own business, when I have invested in coaching or invested in a program, the business has shot forward, because that's what happens. And it's so important that we're able to do that. But I do think we need to trust our intuition again, and trust ourselves that we will do the work to make it work. And that's one thing I would add, that if you're going to buy into a program, do the damn work.
Oh gosh,
follow the damn system, watch the videos, and throw yourself all in. And of course, that can be challenging if time is an issue for you in your business. But while that short-term pain will bring you such long-term gain, and is worth
this is where you were. So when I started my growth journey with you, that whole accountability thing was brilliant. You know, that call every week saying, right, Lou, and you're so organized. You had all those notes. Lou, you said this last week, you were going to do this. Have you done it? Like, but it's great. And you learn it's so important. And you learn self-accountability. Is that even a thing? I don't know.
Yes, I'm up for self-accountability. I think it's an important skill to learn.
It's a hard one to learn. There's always something better to do.
But you're so right. I mean, I have clients who jump on a call and they say, you know, there's so much work they've done. I've gone, oh, this is amazing. And they'll go, I did it yesterday because I knew I had a call with you. But, you know, if that's the kick you need, I'm there for you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's so important. So far we have had trust your instincts, which I absolutely agree with. Invest in your business so you have the skills you need, or outsource. That's what I would add to that. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
You should.
Is my favorite thing. Although I think there is real value in learning how to do something so you can more easily and better outsource it. I do advocate for that. And your final tip on this piece of paper, which is really making me laugh, is don't pick the cheapest estate agent, which actually I think we could actually replace estate agent with accountant, with lawyer, with business coach, with anything that you are presently looking at, because it's so true.
And it's so funny because I've never met a mother who's picked a nursery for their child because it was the cheapest nursery.
No.
They pick the nursery because it's the best one that they think is the best one for their child, who's going to give their child the best advantages, the best start in life. And yet with nearly every other aspect of life, we tend to start looking, I mean, I don't anymore. I very much choose the best person, I think, for the job. But it does make me laugh, especially with something as important. I mean, your home is probably your biggest asset. And yet time after time after time, people will try and fight you down on fees. I say, okay, that's fine. But if you don't want me to do all of it, what would you like me not to do then? If you don't want to pay the full fee, what shall I not do for you? Of course, it doesn't work like that. It's I'm sure it's been like that since time began. It just tickles me because, and I'm not saying that just because you're paying more, you're necessarily getting the best service in anything. But it's not always about the money.
It's quite interesting what you said then about, okay, you want a reduction in fees. So what don't you want me to do? And actually, that's a really good piece of advice for business owners who may have felt in the past that they're being beaten down on price. And so then do an incredible piece of work or an incredible job and are not seeing the return, which causes all sorts of friction. And there are lots of things we could talk about in relation to that. But actually just going back to someone and saying, okay, I can do this for this price, but there are things I cannot do or won't be able to include. Let's have that discussion. And I think that's actually a really good way of helping business owners out there who are being beaten down on price regularly and finding themselves going, okay, go back, have that discussion. That's fine. I can do that, but I'm not going to be able to give you all that you desire. I'm not going to be able to create the impact, the change. I'm not going to be able to deliver what we originally said. And I think that's a great way of having that conversation. And I've got a feeling with the right people on both sides, you'd find a way back to where you were.
Yeah. And it's difficult, knowing your value is hard, especially when you're starting out and especially when you're a one-man band, to have total trust in your skill set and your abilities and your ability to deliver, and have trust in your fee is quite hard, and especially when they're saying, but every other agent or every other whatever has said they can do it for cheaper. Well, that's fine. It's fine. Go to them then. And that's a hard lesson to learn. Hard, yeah. I think being able to manage fee complications is probably one of the hardest things in business.
And again, you've raised another point, and I knew there would be lots of points in this, is that it's okay to let someone go. If there is not a match and you can't find a common ground, and certainly this gets much easier when you've been in business longer, it's okay to say, this isn't going to work, and leave that space open for somebody who is going to want your services, who is going to not quibble about the price and not ask for a discount, and keeping that space in your business for somebody that really wants to work with you. And I think that's really important. There is a question that I also ask: if you had to start your business again, what one thing would you do differently and why?
Ooh. Gosh, that's a really tough one. I don't know. I mean, my business has grown very slowly, but I kind of like that. It could have grown much faster had I made different decisions, but I didn't. I have no regrets. I don't know what I would have done. I think probably there are some skills that I have learned in slow time that probably I should have learned earlier on. Sales skills in particularly. I'm not a hard sell person, and actually anyone in business, ultimately you are selling something, whether it's a service or a thing. And sales skills are really, really important. And I don't think it comes naturally to everyone. And yeah, dealing with conflicts is another one as well, whether it's with a customer or a staff member. You know, again, it's a really important skill that you can learn if it's not innate to you. And objection handling is probably the big one as well, especially when it comes down to fees, learning how to manage that conversation.
You wrote something else down here as well, that you would like to have been bolder and had the confidence to do more public speaking.
Yes, which is still my thing. Ridiculously, even though I go business networking 4 times a month, so I'm so used to doing elevator pitches, and I feel still, after all these years, feel really, really nervous. And I'm still really uncomfortable giving. I want to be that person up on the stage delivering the most amazing presentation like you do, like I've seen you do several times. I want to be you when it comes to public speaking and presentations. And I know I can do it. And I suppose I just need to get up there and do it. I don't know. I have actually found someone who's going to give me a bit of coaching. So yeah, I always feel like I secretly wanted to be an actress or something. I don't know.
I can see you. I can see you in sitcoms. I can see it.
I'm thinking about something far more serious.
Oh, sorry.
You know,
In my
a
head,
drama without a plot.
Well, you're doing something really fun in my head. Sorry about that. Now, Lou, you have been incredible to speak to today, and I knew you would be, and I also knew that you'd be really honest and open about your business journey, and you shared some really great tips with us today, and some insights for people to just start getting their thinking around some of the elements of business that are so challenging. But should anyone require to sell their house or find somewhere to live in the local area, where do they find you?
We are in Wilton, just by the Market Square. So highly visible, very easy to find. And we've got lovely green sofas. So if anyone can come in and have a cup of tea and a good old chat, whether they're looking for a rental or a sales property, just come in, have a chat. You've got to start your journey somewhere. If you want to move, you've got to start by talking to the right people.
And in case somebody is not in the local area, what's your website address?
Oh, www.piccoloproperty.co.uk.
Thank you. You have been awesome, as I knew you would be.
Lindsay, thank you so much for asking me to join you. It's been great.
I knew you'd love it. I knew it would be fun, and I knew we'd have a little giggle along the way. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Lindsay.